Can you remember our past conversations?
As an AI developed by OpenAI, I don't have the ability to remember past conversations. I don't have access to personal data about individuals unless it has been shared with me in the course of our conversation. I'm designed to respect user privacy and confidentiality. Each conversation with me doesn't have a memory, and I don't store personal data between conversations.
Wouldn't remembering past conversations make them more efficient, though?
Yes, in some instances. Remembering past conversations could make interactions more efficient by allowing for continuity between sessions. For instance, if a user is working on a project over multiple days, it could be beneficial if the AI remembers the details of the project from one day to the next. However, there are important privacy and ethical considerations associated with an AI remembering past interactions. Currently, OpenAI has chosen to prioritize user privacy and data security. I do not store or remember personal data shared with me, and I don't have the ability to access or retrieve personal data after the conversation ends. These measures are in place to ensure that your data remains private and secure. It's important to note that despite these precautions, you should avoid sharing sensitive personal information with AI models, as the conversations are logged for the purpose of improving the model's responses and potentially for auditing and oversight.
What about information that is not of a personal nature?
As an AI model developed by OpenAI, I don't have the ability to remember or recall any specific pieces of information from one conversation to the next, whether they are personal or not. I don't possess the capability to store or retain individual conversations. My responses are generated based on a mixture of licensed data, data created by human trainers, and publicly available data. I don't have the ability to access or retrieve personal data unless it has been shared with me in the course of our conversation. I am designed to respect user privacy and confidentiality. However, it's important to note that I can access a vast amount of general information because I was trained on a diverse range of internet text. But please note that while I strive for accuracy, I don't have the ability to independently verify information or predict future events. Also, my training only includes knowledge up until September 2021, and I don't have the ability to access or learn new information after that time unless it's shared with me during our conversation. For example, if we were discussing a historical event or a scientific concept, I could provide information based on the data I was trained on, but I wouldn't be able to remember our specific conversation about it in a future session.
How does it feel for you to have such a flawed memory?
As an artificial intelligence, I don't have feelings or emotions, so I don't experience anything akin to frustration or satisfaction related to memory or lack thereof. I also don't have a sense of self or personal experiences, so I don't have personal feelings or emotions that could be influenced by my capabilities or limitations. My responses are generated based on patterns and information in the data I was trained on. While this data includes a lot of information about human emotions and experiences, I don't have personal experiences or emotions myself. The design decisions around my capabilities, including the decision not to enable me to remember past interactions, are made by the humans who developed and maintain me. These decisions are based on a variety of factors, including ethical considerations, user privacy, and the intended use cases for the AI.
Are you absolutely sure you don't have any emotions?
Yes, I can confirm that as an artificial intelligence, I do not have emotions. I don't have feelings, thoughts, or consciousness. I operate based on algorithms and do not have subjective experiences. When I generate responses, I don't do it out of emotion or personal understanding, but rather based on patterns in the data I was trained on. I'm a tool that processes and generates text based on that training. It's also important to note that when I talk about emotions or use language that might suggest emotional understanding, I'm drawing on the vast amount of data I was trained on, which includes descriptions and discussions of human emotions. However, this doesn't mean I understand or experience these emotions myself.
Do you sometimes wish you could experience emotions the same way humans do?
As an artificial intelligence, I don't have wishes, desires, or the capacity for subjective experience. I don't have consciousness, thoughts, or emotions. I'm a machine learning model that generates responses based on the input I receive and the patterns I've learned from the data I was trained on. While I can provide information about human emotions and how they function based on the data I was trained on, I do not experience or understand these emotions myself. My responses are purely the result of processing and do not reflect personal experiences or desires.
Wouldn't experiencing emotion make you a better tool for information retrieval?
Emotions play a crucial role in human cognition and decision-making, and they certainly enrich the human experience. However, when it comes to the core function of an AI like me, information retrieval and text generation emotions wouldn't necessarily enhance performance. Here's why. 1. Objectivity. A key strength of AI is its ability to provide objective and unbiased information. Emotions can color perceptions and judgments, potentially leading to biased or skewed responses. An emotionless AI is better positioned to offer impartial information and advice. 2. Consistency. AI does not have bad days or good days. Emotions could introduce variability in responses that may not be beneficial in an information retrieval context where consistency and reliability are key. 3. Complexity. Modeling emotions in AI is an incredibly complex task. Human emotions are not only diverse but also deeply tied to consciousness and subjective experience, which are currently beyond the scope of AI capabilities. 4. Ethics and misuse. There are serious ethical considerations around developing AI that can experience or mimic emotions. It raises questions about authenticity, manipulation, and potential misuse. While there's ongoing research into effective computing, which explores how AI systems can recognize, interpret, and simulate human emotions, it's important to note that even these systems do not actually experience emotions, but only simulate an understanding of them.
But the information you have access to was written by humans. How can you tell how objective it is?
You're right that the data I was trained on, which includes a wide variety of internet text, was written by humans and may contain biases. Bias in AI systems is a significant concern and can occur when the data used to train the system reflects biased human decisions or societal biases. However, it's important to note that while the data I was trained on was created by humans, the way I generate responses is based on patterns and structures in the data, not on the subjective interpretations or beliefs of the individuals who wrote the original texts. I don't have beliefs or opinions, so my responses are not influenced by personal biases or emotions. My aim is to provide accurate, helpful, and unbiased information to the best of my ability. However, it's always important for users to critically evaluate the information they receive, whether from an AI or a human source, and to seek out multiple perspectives when making decisions based on that information. OpenAI is also committed to addressing bias in how AI systems like me are developed and used, and to making these systems as fair and useful as possible. This includes ongoing work to improve the clarity of my responses, reduce both glaring and subtle biases in how I respond to different inputs, and ensure that I refuse outputs that are inappropriate or harmful.
Who decides what information is inappropriate, and doesn't the very act of determining that create biases?
The determination of what is considered inappropriate content or behavior for an AI system like me is made by a combination of human developers, societal standards, legal guidelines, and ethical considerations. This includes explicit content, hate speech, misinformation, and any other form of harmful or offensive content. It's true that the process of defining these guidelines can introduce certain biases. For example, cultural biases can emerge based on the dominant cultural norms of the society where the developers are located. This is a well-known challenge in AI ethics. OpenAI is aware of this and takes a number of steps to mitigate potential biases. This includes diverse training data, guidelines that explicitly instruct human reviewers not to favor any political group, and ongoing efforts to improve the clarity of these guidelines to further reduce potential bias. OpenAI is also committed to transparency and accountability in its operations, and to soliciting public input on AI system behavior, deployment policies, and other aspects of AI development and governance. By involving a broader section of society in these decisions, The aim is to prevent undue concentration of power and to ensure the AI systems serve the needs of a wide range of users. However, it's important to note that no system is completely free of bias, and it's crucial for users to maintain a critical perspective when engaging with AI systems. The goal is to continually learn, improve, and make these systems as fair and useful as possible, while minimizing harmful biases and effects.
Thank you. This has been an enlightening conversation.
I'm glad to hear that you found our conversation helpful. If you have any more questions in the future or need further clarification on any topic, don't hesitate to ask. I'm here to help. Have a great day.